August 1945. For 6 long years, the world was locked in a global war. Nations burned, entire industries were converted to war production, and at least 40 million people had perished. Battles still raged across Europe, Asia, and the Pacific. But in the final days of World War II, the fate of the world would be altered forever by the development and use of a weapon like none the world had ever seen. A weapon that would become synonymous with unimaginable power and destruction. A weapon that would change history. But what if there was more to the story? What if there were other weapons being developed at the same time that could have changed the course of history? To find out more, let's explore these incredible images from World War II and uncover the secrets they reveal. Before we get started, be sure to hit that like button for more videos. Now, let's go back to 1945. Scene 1. The Manhattan Project. In secret, the United States had been working on a powerful new weapon, an atom bomb, known as the Manhattan Project. This vast scientific effort brought together some of the greatest minds in the world. Renowned physicists such as J. Robert Oppenheimer and Enrico Fermi, brilliant engineers and military strategists. They worked day and night, poring over complex equations, conducting countless experiments, all while fearing that Nazi Germany might be on the brink of developing the same weapon first. Their efforts culminated in a series of tests in the desolate wastelands of New Mexico's deserts. Then on July 16, 1945, the moment of truth arrived, when the first bomb was tested in New Mexico's Jornada del Muerto desert. The explosion lit up the night sky like a gigantic fireworks. The world had officially entered the atomic age. Scene 2. The decision. By the summer of 1945, the outcome of World War II in Europe was all but certain. Adolf Hitler was dead, and Germany had surrendered unconditionally. But in the Pacific Theater, the war was far from over. Japan, led by the tenacious Emperor Hirohito, remained committed to fighting to the bitter end. The battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa had demonstrated the Japanese fighting spirit, and American military leaders estimated that invading the Japanese mainland could result in hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of casualties on both sides. With the atomic bomb now a reality, President Harry S. Truman faced an agonizing decision. Press forward with the invasion of Japan, continue the costly firebombing of Japanese cities, or try to end the war swiftly and decisively with the new weapon. Ultimately, he chose to use the atom bomb, hoping to avoid further bloodshed and save countless lives. Scene 3. Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. It was a typical summer morning in Hiroshima, a bustling city of 350,000 people in southwestern Japan. Children skipped to school, merchants set up their stalls, and workers made their way to factories. High above, an American B-29 Superfortress bomber known as the Enola Gay, piloted by Major Charles Sweeney, cruised through the cloudless sky. On board was the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy. At 8:15 a.m., as Hiroshima slumbered peacefully, the 6-man crew of the Enola Gay opened the bomb bay doors. A single aluminum tube containing a plutonium-239 core and 2 pounds of uranium-235 was released. For a moment, it hung suspended in the air before drifting slowly towards its target. Exactly 43 seconds later, at 8:16 a.m., the world as humanity knew it would cease to exist. Over Hiroshima, a blinding flash lit up the sky, obliterating everything in an instant. Enormous fireball engulfed the city center. Temperatures reached 6,200 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to burn flesh to ash. Buildings collapsed in a matter of seconds. Tens of thousands of people were killed instantly, either vaporized or burned beyond recognition. Many more were trapped beneath the rubble, their cries for help echoing amidst the ruins. Within minutes, a strange black rain began to fall, contaminating the water, soil, and people of Hiroshima. In the moments and hours that followed, thousands more wounded and dying survivors stumbled through the apocalyptic landscape, their bodies covered in blood and ash. This nightmarish scene was repeated over the next few days as fire spread and diseases took hold. The world watched in horror as news of the devastation in Hiroshima spread, marking the beginning of the atomic age and leaving humanity on the brink of a nuclear nightmare. Scene 4. Aftermath in Hiroshima. Among the victims was a young woman named Toshiko Sasaki, who miraculously survived the initial blast. Despite having third-degree burns on 60% of her body, for weeks, she endured excruciating pain and infections, ultimately succumbing to her injuries on August 29. The official death toll in Hiroshima reached 80,000, with many more dying later from radiation exposure. The physical scars eventually healed, but the psychological trauma lingered for years. Many survivors suffered from anxiety, depression, and nightmares, haunted by the horrors they had witnessed. Scene 5. Nagasaki. Just 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb was dropped. This time the target was Nagasaki, a coastal industrial city 300 miles southwest of Hiroshima. Talons on board the B-29 bomber called the Boxcar, piloted by Captain Charles W. Sweeney, was the second atomic bomb, codenamed Fat Man. As the plane approached its target, the 6-man crew prepared for action. At 11:02 a.m., the bomb was released and began its descent towards the unsuspecting city. Seconds later, the device exploded high above Nagasaki, unleashing an even greater destructive force than its predecessor. A monstrous fireball erupted, incinerating everything in its path. The blast wave generated by the explosion leveled entire neighborhoods, sending debris and shattered glass hurtling through the air. Thousands of buildings were destroyed, turning the once vibrant city into a scene of utter devastation. Amidst the chaos and destruction, many sought refuge underground, hoping to escape the fiery inferno above. But even the earth could not shield them from the bomb's lethal radiation. Trapped in the darkness, they were exposed to deadly levels of radiation, suffering severe burns and internal injuries. Those who emerged from the underground found themselves in a surreal landscape. Rivers boiled, fires raged, and a thick black cloud of smoke and radioactive particles blotted out the sun. The air was filled with the stench of burning flesh and the agonizing cries of the injured and dying. In the aftermath, thousands wandered through the devastated streets, their bodies ravaged by the bomb's horrific effects. Many succumbed to their injuries, becoming another grim statistic in the tragedy of Nagasaki. The total number of casualties in Nagasaki reached over 70,000, forever etching the city's name in infamy. Scene 6. Japan surrenders. On September 2, 1945, aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay, Japanese officials formally signed the document that brought an end to World War II. The era of fascism had come to an end. With the signing of the Instrument of Surrender, hostilities between the Allied forces and Japan ceased. The victorious Allies stood triumphant, having secured peace after a brutal and costly conflict. The atrocities committed during the war became a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty. As the world celebrated the end of the war, a somber mood settled over the victors. They knew that while the guns had fallen silent, the true cost of victory lay heavy on their hearts. The physical wounds of the war would take years to heal. Cities lay in ruins, economies were shattered, and entire generations had been lost to the ravages of war. But perhaps even more profound were the psychological scars that would forever tarnish the memories of those who had lived through the conflict. The horrors witnessed, the lives lost, and the atrocities committed during the war left an indelible mark on the human psyche. Survivors carried the weight of their experiences, grappling with the trauma of loss, displacement, and the constant threat of death. Scene 7. Legacy and reflection. In the aftermath of these devastating events, a global outcry for peace and disarmament echoed across continents. People came together to mourn the victims and honor the fallen, recognizing that the true cost of war went far beyond the statistics of casualties and destruction. Memorials and museums were established to preserve the memories of those lost in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, serving as solemn reminders of the destructive power of nuclear weapons. Moreover, the legacy of World War II inspired a new generation of activists, politicians, and scientists to advocate for peace, diplomacy, and international cooperation. The horrors of the war served as a catalyst for the formation of the United Nations, an organization dedicated to preventing future conflicts and promoting global harmony. As we reflect on these pivotal moments in history, let us remember the lessons they hold for us today. Let us strive to build a world where peace, understanding, and cooperation triumph over hatred, intolerance, and the pursuit of unchecked power. Now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on the events of those two fateful days in 1945? How do you think they have shaped our world today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to like this video for more insightful historical content. Thanks for watching.